So now you've prepared internally with the mindset, you have a process outline in mind, and you have the various tactics and demands ready to go. So let's get right in. How do you open a negotiation with a US counterpart? Having been part of political negotiations for 7 years in DC, small talk is small talk, but it's a big part of a successful negotiation in the United States. It surprises me when I come to Germany and I ask for a coffee, or I go into a restaurant and I ask them, "How's your day going?" They look at me like I have three eyes. In the United States, if I don't ask how their day is, they look at me like I have three eyes. So get comfortable with this idea that you're going to have a few minutes of light social conversation. But what does that mean? The key word is in the social part. You want to make it general. You want to make this warm. You want it to be a way for your counterpart to know who you are, who they're dealing with, and also for you to gather some information. So let me give you some tips. Sports. Sports is king in the United States, along with cash. But sports is fundamental to get this social conversation. It's one of the easiest social lubricants around. Here's a little bonus tip. If you can find on their LinkedIn or on the internet what college they went to and how the college football team is doing or the college basketball team is doing, if you can bring that up, they will be extremely impressed, and that truly shows a natural interest in your US counterpart. Then you do not want to talk about politics, you don't want to talk about wage, you don't want to talk about these sensitive topics, if you will. So please don't ask them who they voted for or what they think about the US politics. These are minefields that you want to avoid. I remember when I was a policy advisor on Capitol Hill, I would include before every meeting one or two details, maybe the thesis that they wrote in university, what they studied, where they started their career, for the congressman before every meeting, so that he could mention this with their counterparts and build upon that. You'll be surprised how much Americans like to talk. And that comes to your advantage. Let them be the talking ones and you be the listening ones. And always use this to analyze your counterpart, how they are as a person, and more importantly, what are their tendencies as a negotiator. Now that we've covered light social conversation, let's move on to some other tactics that are important in the opening phase. The storyline. You need to be positive. You need to be future-oriented, and you need to be pragmatic, a practical solution to their problems. Now here's the thing. If they've invited an international counterpart to the negotiation table, you're 99.9% sure that they're already interested in what you have. So don't focus on the why, focus on the how. That is key when you're opening up the negotiation process. As I said before, time is money. So make it quick. You'll find after 3 or 4 minutes of light social conversation, there'll be this moment that is, anyway, or let's get down to business, or so, how can we help? That's how you know the light social conversation has ended and now the negotiation starts. Here is where you need to have the agenda. Here is where you control the narrative by controlling the agenda. I cannot emphasize this enough. Americans love linear time structure. So whomever controls the agenda controls what is talked about, how much time is allocated for the various topics, and the general nature of what issues will be covered and when. So by controlling the agenda, you control the negotiation and what is being discussed. And finally, when you're opening up, you want to stabilize your counterpart. I think one element that is very underestimated when it comes to looking at US negotiations and US counterparts is this fear factor, especially in corporate America. There is this culture where you need to climb the corporate ladder ASAP, and there is an implicit consequence for failures. So by stabilizing them, by praising them, by being positive, you let them be more relaxed. You let them be more willing to engage in the negotiation, lower their defensive attitude, and be open to what you have to offer, and being open to your various demands. So keep that in mind. Again, the agenda, the light social conversation, and this ability to control the narrative using the various tactics, which is even more important when it comes to putting that fish on the table. Be clear in one sentence, don't beat around the bush, put that fish on the table. Because if they're the ones who put it on first, you're going to be talking about the problem from their perspective. But right from the beginning, you need to be able to say what the problem is, so you address it in the negotiation process, from your perspective, thereby making the negotiation outcome relative to what you want.